Hello, my name is Matthew Kenslow, and I have autism spectrum disorder, a condition I've never asked for, but I'm making the best of it and encouraging people along the journey. So much so that I got 2 books published, Juggling the Issues and Unstoppable, about the pros and cons of living with autism, and about never giving up to be a teacher, and ended up being called like the best substitute teacher all across the district and all my volunteer assemblies that I go to from my heart, so that I could teach people that having autism does not mean that you're a lost cause or an alien from outer space, but that you are in fact here for a purpose. And I encourage students on how to include one another and be friends to one another. So this video serves as a warning against content unicorns who claims to do publishing, PR, audiobooks and all that. If they happen to watch this and watched my intro, then they know that all I wanted to be in this life is a help, and I just want to help, and I thought that they would help me along with audiobooks, and I'll explain the story later on with screenshot proof. But I could have used that money that they stole from me to go to other things where I could be a help, because I do invest in real advertisement and real PR. And I did the fact checking, and they are really getting sophisticated these days. I fact checked everything, and I had long emails and conversations with them, and they just took me under their confidence. And now I'm on the journey to try to get my money back so that I could be a help to the voiceless and to educate the ignorant that autistics aren't aliens like they think. Because I've suffered the discrimination for over 20 years because I'm autistic, and even begged to not have children and to commit suicide and so many other things. Well, anyway, both my books made the rounds across the entire world, being featured in countless news, radio, podcasts, magazines. And I've received an incalculable amount of comments saying how much I've encouraged people who have autism or disability, and people who care for those, or people that just didn't know about disabilities, and I helped them in understanding. Well, in conclusion, all that costs money. It's called PR, advertisement, and it's not cheap. And I've invested in several $1,000s because I actually have a heart wanting to change this world. And yet there's only been a few people that just didn't understand that and swindled me like content unicorns. Anyway, everything all started in March 2024, some 3/4 of a year ago, and on X, someone messaged me saying, "Hello Matthew, how are you?" And this user is Kale Root, and so we started to have a conversation. She was asking me about where to get my book, and I told her Amazon or Barnes & Noble. And then she started to ask if it's on Audible, and I said no, but hopefully. And she offered to help. And I basically said, sure, I'd be willing to discuss it. And so she forwarded my email to senior consultant Andrew Parker. And next thing I know, I get an email from Andrew. And that was a couple of weeks later. And I'm certainly not going to bore you with all the dozens of emails that we had back and forth. But let me just say that we had a cordial conversation. We even talked to each other on the phone, or well, someone called me from Boca Raton, Florida, and we talked about it, and they talked me into this opportunity. And so he sent me a couple of audio files from voice actors, and I chose one of them. And then I got the first few chapters, and I was listening to it, and I'm like, this does not sound right. So I emailed him back in a quandary and told him some of the observations that I made. Like, for instance, some of the things in my book were plural, but the voice actor had it singular. The voice actor also said April 20 instead of April 20th, or May 30 instead of May 30th. There were abnormally long pauses in between words, and one of the most condemning evidence of all, the voice actor said, "Students would Unstoppable 2 buy raffle tickets." So the sentence reads, students would buy raffle tickets, but that's when it changed from page 1 to page 2. So the voice actor actually read Unstoppable at top, and then the page number 2, buy raffle tickets. Basically, this is AI. These voice actors aren't real people. And you know, to tell you the truth, I already had the suspicion. I mean, I was born in the morning, but not this morning. And I figured that $600 for both my books to have an audio version was a bit on the low side. And I did pay an upfront cost of 60%, which is $360, and that's all the money that I gave them. And so I continued this long email saying that I just knew it, I was giving the benefit of the doubt, and I just don't want to pursue because it just doesn't sound authentic to have an AI robo voice reading my books. And he assured me that that's how everyone does it these days, and hardly anyone could tell. But as an autistic, I don't think it's necessarily an autistic thing, but I could detect AI voices probably with 99% accuracy. Like all of these YouTube ads about Speechelo, they're asking, okay, which one's the AI voice? I know that both of them are AI voices because I could tell, and I can't explain it, but I know AI when I hear it. But I'm like, I'll give the benefit of the doubt. And Andrew Parker had reassured me that, you know, if we were to get a real, like, in-studio person, that would cost probably thousands of dollars, and it's more economical this way, and everyone's doing it. And I'm like, I still don't want to take part of this, but you know what? He talked me into it. and he asked me which book do I want to start first. And I'm like, well, for sure I don't want my second book to go to audio, but the first book, we'll see how it goes. And it's only a matter of like hundreds of dollars, not like thousands. And so we exchanged long emails back and forth up until June, like June 6th. And that was the last I've heard of him for months and months and months. And I'm like, how long does it take to do like an AI audiobook? I mean, I understand with like a real person, but an AI, you just put the words in, press a button, and it comes out as an audiobook, and then you just listen to it and make sure there's no like long pauses or whatnot. I mean, I'm not a professional in that field, but I don't think it takes like from June to like November to do so. And so I started to think, okay, maybe this guy swindled me. And so the last correspondence that I had was June 7th, 2024, and I have mail track. And in fact, it said that he read my email 14 times when I said, how about the first book, Juggling the Issues, to start out with. The next email I sent was November 16th, 2024, and I saw that he read it 6 times. And this was like 5 months after the fact. And I'm like, it's taking way too long, and I actually question if you're doing anything. Could I have a refund? And how about a partial refund? I mean, just maybe $300. You could keep the $60 for all the labor in the beginning and going back and forth with me, but how about $300? And you think he responded to me? No, he didn't. So I sent him another email a couple of weeks later on December 5th, and he opened that one 7 times. I mean, this is complete non-professional, not how businesses are set up, and I actually kind of believe that they are scammers this entire time. So I'm biting my tongue. I think this video suffice. I've showed you proof. I mean, I was only born like nearly 30 years ago, but I do think that if someone sends you an email, you're supposed to email back, especially if they opened it like a half dozen times. And I mean, at least an update, anything. And there was nothing. There's no other logical conclusion that I can make that they're scammers, and as my responsibility, I need to warn the ends of the world that if you get anything from a person that goes by the name of Andrew Parker or Content Unicorns or a phone number from Boca Raton, Florida, then I'd advise against pursuing it because they swindled me, and they know that they did that. Now, from the bottom of my heart, I do hope for the best and the success of everybody on the planet, but they've got to be nice to each other. They got to stop being like evil or corrupt, and they got to start believing themselves and treating people, especially those with disabilities, with inclusion and acceptance. And I want what's best for Andrew Parker, or whatever his real name is, but he, like every businessman, needs to be honest. I believe that Andrew has a calling and a purpose, but it's not to swindle autistics like me or anybody else. I'm sure it's not just autistic. And again, to his credit, I mean, he was cordial, he was nice, but when he completely ghosted me and dropped me, like, what am I supposed to think? In my emails, I told him how he could prove his legitimacy. If he's watching this right now, he definitely knows how he could. If not, then I'll keep referencing this video for the rest of time, warning people against Content Unicorns and their websites. In fact, they do have a supposedly legit looking website right here. And the number that they called me from, this 561 number, is in fact the actual number that that called me earlier this year. Just rest assured, I have reason to believe that these are scammers, and they did swindle me over $300. And they do have a Facebook page, which nearly seems legit, although no one's really liking their content except for 0 or 1. And they also have a LinkedIn page too. But again, I do not believe that these are credible people. I hate to make a video like this. I've given Andrew like a whole bunch of chances and then some more, like a whole bunch of chances. I just didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to believe that they scammed me, that they swindled me, but I have no choice, and it's my responsibility to warn others against Content Unicorns.